Hello, how's everybody doing? So it's day number 10 of quarantine after testing positive for COVID. And it's been a long 10 days. Luckily, I have been fortunate enough to be able to have a job where once I get done with the quarantine, I can continue to work. I know a lot of people haven't been that lucky and they've been quarantining longer than 10 days. So I don't know how people do it. Um, I mean, overall, I'm enjoying it because I get to study more, focus more on studying and things like that, and catch up on a lot of shows and movies and things that I normally wouldn't have time to do. But I've also had more downtime to be on social media, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But with that said, that's what leads me to my next video, or to this video, I should say, is I'm seeing a lot of conspiracy theories, especially right now with COVID and Corona. And one in particular, I'm not going to go into specifics per se, but I'll have a few examples. And one in particular is that coronavirus is being caused by 5G radiation from cell phone towers. So when I first saw this, I thought, okay, that's crazy. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to be more open minded and see where people are coming from, why they believe what they believe, how they came to that conclusion, what evidence they saw. Most of the people, though, that I'm seeing post this aren't posting, and in fact, actually, all of the people I've seen post that particular claim are not posting any type of evidence. They're posting maybe a link to a YouTube video or a link or they're sharing something that somebody else typed up on Facebook, but there's no peer-reviewed scientific data or peer-reviewed research articles from an actual scientific journal on the topic, right? But in all the posts that I see, people will say, well, I've done my research, or you do your research. But I read through the post and there's no research there, no actual research. And what I mean by research, again, research is what you find in a scientific journal, and it follows the scientific method, and it's evidence based. There's a certain format. There's an APA format that you follow. There's certain guidelines, certain rules. There's peer review. There's tons of things that go into completing a research article. So in these posts, I never see that, right? And the people that post them, if you're posting about, COVID or 5G towers causing coronavirus, you would think, okay, well, then maybe they're an expert in their field. Maybe they're a medical doctor or a scientist of some kind, right? But usually they're not. You never see that. It's usually someone who's not an expert in that field. And this goes back to a previous video I made about experts, trusting what the experts say, and following their guidelines on in anything from medical to scientific data. Because that's why we have experts. That's why people go to school for 8 to 12 to 14 years to focus on a particular field and to be an expert on it. And then a lot of these claims about, COVID being caused by 5G radiation are just extraordinary claims, right? And Carl Sagan says, one of my favorite quotes is that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And what that means is if you have a claim like that, you better have extraordinary evidence to back up that extraordinary claim. But they never do. I don't ever see extraordinary evidence backing up these claims. It's usually, well, a friend of a friend said, or my dad's sister's uncle's, friend said that it caused it, and he's a scientist. Well, where's his research? Post a link to the research that he's conducted on this to show that. And that's where being a skeptic comes into play, right? Where it gets a negative connotation where people think that it's a bad thing. But all it means is if you have a claim, a skeptic wants to see the evidence for that claim. What does the evidence say? And Neil deGrasse Tyson had an awesome quote about it. He said, "A skeptic will question claims, then embrace the evidence. A denier will question claims, then reject the evidence." And what that means is when faced with new evidence, right, will you change your viewpoint and say, wow, be open-minded and say, wow, okay, there is some evidence for this. I'm going to accept that and I'm going to look into that more. Or are you going to be a denier and just say, you know what? Nah, the evidence is all wrong. It's all fake. It's fake news. It's some government cover up. Some corporation has bought this data and altered it. Because that's probably not the likely scenario, right? Out of those. So in order to be a skeptic, you have to also look at bias, right? And there are different biases that lead into these beliefs, right? Things like confirmation bias. We're all biased by nature. Like we have different political or religious or different biases, right, that drive us or make us look at information differently. But we have to be aware of those biases, right? And I'll try to post some links down below about different cognitive biases that we all have. Different logical fallacies that you may encounter that can help people better discern how to look at evidence, right? And how to look at critically thinking about evidence instead of just posting some random YouTube video from someone saying that 5G radiation caused the coronavirus. So anyway, before you share that misinformation, make sure that there's scientific data, that it's actually being said by an actual scientist. If not, what's the data behind it? Share an actual link from a scientific journal. And with that said, I would love to hear in the comments different people's perspectives of some of the conspiracy theories they've heard, especially since coronavirus. And also, like I said before, post some links to some cool YouTube videos or not related to conspiracy theories, but some cool YouTube videos or some books that you've been reading or different TV shows. I would love to look at that to help pass these next 4 days of quarantine that I'm still on. And anyway, everybody have a great day. And if you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you.